How many of y'all know why we're here, or we're just told to be here at 7 a.m.? Just told to be here at 7 a.m.?
For the end of
watch run?
For the whole thing that you put out.
Okay. So basically the core mission of what we are here to do is to honor the fallen. In 2019, we had 147 officers killed in the line of duty. So over that table are 147 weights that represent each one of those officers. And what you are going to do is carry those weights for the distance of your leg. Okay. So I don't care how many miles y'all do individually. What I care about is how many miles that these weights go. So far, they've done every single mile together. And we're going to keep that going. So I'm just going to run over the standards that we have to meet for this, in order for this event to be a success. So every ounce of every pound, each one of those weights I've collected, basically lead, I've melted it, cleaned all the junk out of it, because I'm not going to have trashy weights representing officers. It's all been cast into 1 pound ingots, and each one of them is weighed at exactly 16 or more ounces, not 15.9. If it was 15.9, it got threw back in the pot and we cast. I'm not going to short them even a single ounce. On that same standard, we're going to do every step of every mile. This course is going to be set up. You'll see the markers. Basically, if we're not going to short any of these corners, I've rucked this several times, and several other people have checked with their GPS. It is exactly, like almost to a frog's hair, 3 miles. If you cut a corner, it won't be 3 miles, and that officer's not going to get it. We're not going to disrespect that. So whenever you go, you'll see the signs make the corners wide. The only one that's really been a problem with people cutting short that has created some problems is at the curve. You're going to go, once you hit the pavement, you'll see a curve to the right. You'll see the signs at the end of the pavement. Try to make it out to the signs before you turn. Don't just hug the inside of the pavement curve, okay? Whenever you get to the end of the tent, once you pass the tent, you can then turn around. Don't turn around before the tent. And every story will be heard. There's a binder over there with bios of the fallen. The previous guys were looking out for you because they know that y'all work at a really fast pace, and so far all of those bios have been read. But the standard that we go by is that every story will be heard, and each one of those bios has the kind of call the officer was responding to, what happened on the call, the disposition, what happened to the suspect. Then it goes on into their personal life, about who they left behind, a wife, children, one on the way, a husband. There was one on, I think, leg 3 they read. The guy was 80-something years old, had like 58 years old. So, and he died, and I think they fired him. So he fought right up to the end. So every weight will go every mile. So whenever, I know y'all have already brought the rucks, so you already know that whenever you take a rest, the weight's going to someone else. Doesn't look like y'all are going to have an issue with transferring weights from ruck to ruck. So we had a situation earlier where they transferred weights, 3 weights got left behind. They made that up. And so because they held the standard, they found the error, they fixed the problem, and they held the standard, which is exactly what I asked for to happen. There's going to be 3 flags over there, an American flag. There's a blue line American flag. Red, white, so there's a red, white, and blue American flag, blue line American flag, and an Watch Memorial Ruck flag. Those will go every mile. Preferably red, white, and blue up front. The blue line American flag has the names of the officers printed on it, so that one definitely needs to be right there with it. Then the Watch Memorial Ruck flag, whenever we get to the end, after y'all lay your weights, before y'all cut out, I want you guys to sign the flag. So at the end, you'll lay the weights. Y'all will come in right at the end of that ceremony. Before y'all cut out, at the end of the ceremony, we want to get a group picture. We'll pull that flag aside and get it signed. Okay. At the end of y'all's leg, it's going to be a little different than everybody else's. I'll explain that in a minute. A couple of the other standards that I run by. I'm a field training officer at my agency. I'm a San Jose County deputy, and I've got some patches basically the inside of my truck. It's like a 3rd grade classroom. Got all these patches up over my ceiling, and it's like work hard, figure it out, rub dirt on it, just stuff like that. Don't cry on the inside like a winter kind of thing. But I've got some serious ones that I really use for teaching moments, and this first one here is attention to detail. So whenever you're out on the ruck, pay attention to each other. If somebody stops sweating, somebody's limping a little extra than normal, take care of each other. And this is where I feel like I'm really preaching to the choir with y'all and everybody else. 'Cause I know y'all already know this stuff. It's drilled into your head on a daily basis. So. But y'all just take care of each other, pay attention to detail, make sure you're getting the weights on the miles, taking care of your teammates, and no one's slagging behind. This next thing is teamwork is key. So there's no one person here that can do every single one of those weights for every single mile. I mean, y'all are some pretty awesome folks, but I don't think y'all have quite up to that far. So y'all need each other to make it happen. Y'all have already came with a plan of how to work as a team to make that happen. So we just keep that going the whole time. One of the other things I go over with my trainees is that you're one of two things when you're on a team: that you're either asset or liability. There's no gray man. There's no middle ground. You're either helping the team or you're hurting the team. So not all assets look the same because it takes many parts of a body to make it work. So you might have some hot rods that'll carry. We've had some of these teams where they'll have somebody will carry 40 pounds and can keep a 15-minute mile. Somebody else is brand new, didn't know what they were showing up for, and can't quite do that. But whenever they were resting, they're putting waters out, they're getting snacks out, they're paying attention to anybody need to wrap their feet or do something like that. So if you are resting, go ahead and prep for your next team to take care of them. The last thing that I go over is the standards don't care about your excuses. So we've got the standards set. Those don't care about your excuses. Your teammates care. I care, your family, your friends, they all care, but the standards don't. So those weights are constant. It'll be a pound at the beginning, it'll be a pound at the end. That cold hard metal will rub you raw. You are not constant, so if something happens, you twist an ankle, just communicate with each other, take care of each other. Do whatever it takes to meet the standard. So every part of this event has been designed with some type of representation. It's either a teaching moment, it represents something else, has a deeper meaning, nothing was done arbitrarily. So those weights are more than just for those officers, but it also represents the burdens that they carry. So whenever you sign up, you get the power to get a fast car, a gun, power to take away someone's freedom, take away their life. When you start going to these calls where you have to make a decision on that, sometimes that burden can be a little bit heavy. So it represents that weight. Another thing that it represents is the cumulative stress over the years. So you go through the academy, you come out with all your buds, full of piss and vinegar, ready to take on the world, kicking doors, take bad guys to jail. Fast forward 20 years, you've seen a million different. You've seen brain splattered all over the walls, domestics, and children drowned in the pool, and all kinds of crazy stuff. That adds up over time. Day in, day out, there's felony homes popping off in your ear, going from lunch to 1018 down the highway, and then back down to have to deal with a kid who's crying because he's going to go to school. That cumulative stress adds up. Same. Once you start, that weight's not going to feel too bad. Fast forward to your mile 21, 22, basically year 21, 22 in the career, the weight's going to be heavy on your shoulders. You kind of get through this rut, somebody called it the pain cave earlier. Basically, you can feel the weight on your shoulders, your knees hurt, your feet hurt. You start focusing on just those 2 or 3 steps in front of you, and you forget about the support system you started off with. The people that were to your right, to your left. But all you got to do is just look up, and they're still right there. And we're all holding together. We really use this, we ruck through the night into the day because we try to address the rising suicide in the law enforcement community. For some reason, that is on the rise. I've got some personal theories on how that's happening with cell phones and computers in our cars. We get more calls, respond to more calls, more back-to-back calls. It's not like it was probably 30 years ago when not everybody had a phone on their side, and by the time they got to a phone and figured it out, they cooled down and went on about their way. I'm pretty sure none of y'all brought extra weight. That's something we've had in the past. People will bring an extra 10, 20 pounds to honor another friend of theirs and then not tell their teammates when they pass it on, so they can't figure out why they got the 50-pound pack instead of a 20-pound pack. Josh, am I missing anything?
Final mile.
Final mile. So y'all kind of got an interesting thing. I know you guys are going to be way ahead of the time standard because our time standard is a 20-minute mile. I hadn't even mentioned that yet because it's probably not going to be an issue for you guys. At the end of your next to last lap, you'll be at mile 21. So your last lap will be your last 3 miles. But that red tent you passed on the way in, I don't know how y'all want to work it. If y'all want to pace it so that y'all end it that one around 2:33, or if y'all want to get here and wait to do your last lap, however you want to do it. But we're having all of our athletes come out to do the final mile together, and the final mile step-off time is going to be 3:30 from that tent. So however y'all want to pace it, figure that out. Y'all want to hammer it out and then sit around for an hour and a half and wait for everybody to show up, go back out there and do it, that's fine. But we're all going to do that final mile step-off together. And basically what that'll look like is we'll come down this road. You'll have the sheriff's posse behind you. We will end up meeting up with our honor guard, a riderless horse tribute with the sheriff's posse, and bagpipes. They will lead us in a ceremonious pace. We'll have some other stuff set up by then. Whenever we get to that gate, if y'all could help me, in case I failed to get the instructions to everybody else that shows up for the final mile, we need to have everybody step aside to that side of that open gate where those flags are, because the sheriff's posse that is in the back needs to get through, and we're going to set up with what